This week's quick tip is about choosing the correct focal length for the job. So as some of you know, I shot my brother's wedding along with Christina this past weekend. Christina and I shot my brother's wedding. Wonderful, wonderful time. It certainly was a little tricky balancing both the shooting and the participating. And I'm glad that I don't have to do that for every wedding and I can focus on one or the other. But we had a great time overall. I want to share with you one of the pictures I took and tell you why I was initially really excited by it when I looked at it quickly at the back of the camera, and then why I wasn't so excited by it and what you can do to avoid that in the future. So let's take a look at this picture. Right here is a picture of my brother, and the lighting is great and I like the perspective and the angle. It was great. I snapped it and I actually took a bunch more, but I said, this is great. And then I looked at it a little bit later and I said, you know, I know big heads run in our family, but that's just not quite right. What focal length did I use? And I noticed there that I used 53mm focal length. I was shooting with a 24-70 and I was at 50. Now, it's not the best focal length. I'm too close, and at that wider of a focal length, this is on full frame camera, so this was 50. At that focal length, it distorts objects that are closer, makes them appear larger than they actually are. So his head is really kind of just taking over the frame, and it's distracting and not as good a picture as it could be. So what's the solution? Well, before we get to the solution, you may be not seeing it exactly in this picture here. So let's look at a couple more. Let's start here. Some pictures of me. Just I don't want to pick on just my brother. Not the best picture, but there I am. This is taken at 85. Now let's back down a step. There we are at 75. It's still okay. Here we are at 50. You can see that difference between 75 and 50. Look at the size of my head as I rotate back and forth between those two. Now let's go to 35. Really starting to see some distortion here. And 28. We're using the Tamron 28-75 for this series of images. So let's not stay on that picture too long because it's really, none of these pictures are great, but at least here at the 85 focal length, the proportions are correct. So when you're taking a picture of a person or portraits, you really want to watch your focal length. And the longer focal lengths are going to be much nicer, especially when you're shooting close. Now, the tendency is very easy to be lazy and to be, oh, I'm right here. I need to get all of you in the frame. Let me just zoom out. No, stop. Zoom in and step back until you have the composition you want. You want to use those longer focal lengths. Now, if you're shooting with a T4i or other crop sensor camera, then you don't have to zoom out quite as much. 50 would be fine on a crop sensor camera, because remember, you multiply that times 1.6 or 1.8 and that comes out closer to 80. And that is just a lovely focal length for taking pictures of people, as you saw in the image there. Let me show you how else focal length can really change the look of things. Here's a series of me on the bridge downtown. And let me tell you what, I'm really looking forward to warmer weather when all these demonstrations outside are going to be much more nicer. So here we are, outside, 35mm focal length. I'm framed, from about just above the knees up, light poles in the picture. Here we are at 50. I'm framed about the same, but you can see that I'm a little bit more, the background is a little bit less distinct from me. Here, this one, 35 wide, there's the building back there. And of course, you still see the building, but it's not quite as prevalent. And now here we're really starting to get some compression. And I'm not saying this isn't good or bad. This is just to make you aware of what focal lengths do. And look how much closer that building looks now to me at 70. And then now here we are at 140 and 200. So again, choosing the right focal length for the job. There are times where you want to bring that background really close to whoever you're shooting. You got some beautiful mountains in the background. You want to shoot at those longer focal lengths to bring that in. You want to really kind of set the person apart from everything and capture everything that's going on, then you want to shoot at the wider. But when you're close, watch those focal lengths and make sure that you're shooting at a length that isn't going to distort their future features and give them giant, enormous heads. Alright, so I hope this was helpful. Lots more tips coming. I'm going to try to do one of these a week at least, and of course one quick tip video a week, and other videos too as I get them done. If you have any questions about this, if you have any suggestions of other quick tips that you would like to see covered, please just leave me a comment down below or find me over on the Facebook page. We've got a great community of folks over there, and I really enjoy the interactions that are going on. Thanks for watching.